Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to share our special guest this week. We have two Liz's, which could be a little confusing. Liz, will you introduce yourself?
Me first, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm like, wait. So I
Please.
am Liz, and I am the mom of a BA baby. Her name is Penelope. She is
Aw.
4.5 years old. She's 4 years out post transplant. And yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
So, thank you, Liz, for joining. And for me, being new to like having this Instagram and being a part of this community, although I've, of course, been a part of it my whole life, but never really an active participant, it's been really eye-opening to watch you share Penny's story. And I wanted to say thank you for that
Of
because
course.
it's actually brought me closer to what happened to me as a child because I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So, like to look at Penny and see how well she's doing and how she's thriving, it brings me a lot of hope and a lot of comfort, and definitely is one of the reasons why I want to be a bigger advocate for not only transplantation but talking about biliary atresia. So can you tell me a little bit about like Penny's story and how like you first found out that she had something going on?
So I had a pretty healthy pregnancy, nothing big. Had a beautiful birth, easy peasy, whatever. And we went home for 2 months, and everything was fine. No, she wasn't a crier. She was like this perfect little baby. She slept, she ate, whatever. Um, for our 8-week checkup, we went in to the doctor, and the MA kind of looked at her, and she was like, I'm not going to take her temperature. I'm not going to do anything. And me and my husband kind of looked at each other like, okay, okay, that's fine. And she's like, let me get the doctor. Her color is really off. And me and him kind of looked at each other and we're like, what color? And the doctor came in. And she's like, oh, well, yeah, she's very jaundiced. Like at this point, jaundice only lasts between, I think, 2 to 3 weeks of beginning of like life. And she's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2 months is like way too much. So we ended up taking her over to the lab, which was like a couple steps away. And they did her first lab draw, which was really hard. She was like this little 10-pound baby still. And we had to hold her down. It was terrible. We went back in the next day to get her to just like talk to the doctor about her numbers. And she was like, okay, her liver is working overtime. We need to figure out why. And I think 2 days later, we were introduced to BA. And the first thing that
2
the
days?
doctors, yeah, 2 days later, yeah, it only took like, we had a HEDA scan in between, but everything was very, very quick. And we, in between the HEDA scan, because we had to do it 3 times, because nothing was like moving around in her, they inject her with something, and they wanted to see how it was going through her belly and how everything was going through. So it wasn't doing what was supposed to be happening. And the doctor was like, okay, yeah, it's biliary atresia. And he told us that it happens, I can't remember the number at this moment, I'm sorry, but it's like very rare.
It's like one in some ridiculous amount.
15,000, I think I'm off.
Yeah,
It might be around
something
there.
ridiculous.
Yeah. And we were like shocked, and I'm like, no, like this can't be. Like she's not a crier. She doesn't look like she's in pain. Her belly is not swollen. Like there has to be something else. And he's like, okay, well, she's gonna go in for surgery in 2 days, and we can't really see like what's really happening until we open her up. So yeah, we went in a couple days later, and she had her Kasai, which was to reestablish like the bile flow. And the surgeon called us in between, and she's like, yep, it's biliary atresia. And I remember I
So
was
did
so
she not
scared.
have the main duct, or how, like what
Did
did
she
she,
have?
I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
I believe they told us that it just wasn't there.
I didn't
I know
have
Oh, that's
any.
some
so
kids have them
interesting.
a little bit open than others, and some are just not there completely. So I think Penelope's
Yeah.
case was that she didn't have one at all.
I
Yeah.
didn't have any either.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Um,
must have either, to
yeah.
be honest.
So one of the questions
Huh.
that the doctor actually asked us was like, oh, what color are her stools? And I was like, oh, they've been brown since day one. And the day of that doctor's appointment, I asked her if I was able to change to powder formula. She's like, oh yeah, go for it. Like it's not going to change anything. And as we went back the next day to figure out the lab numbers and everything. And I remember turning around, I'm like, oh, Penny doesn't want bathroom, like, let me wipe her. And I turned around, and that was my first experience with white stool. I remember just opening her diaper, and it was white. And I remember just being completely like, oh my God, like, there is something wrong with her. Because that was the first time, like, I had cleaned every single diaper since like day one, and I had never seen anything other than brown until we changed that formula.
Yeah, I remember Mum telling me, because I've got an older brother and sister, so she'd done parenthood and everything, and she said that when I was about 4 weeks old, I did white poo, and she took the nappy and she went, because she was like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And she took me straight up to the hospital, and you know what they told her? They told her I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
No.
And Mum's just like, well, no. And then pretty much gave them the nappy and was like, I'm pretty sure this isn't dehydration. You need to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who would have thought, not enough people know that is something you need to look for or be concerned about. Like, even if you're like later in life and a full grown adult, like if you notice you don't have good bile flow, there's something wrong with your liver.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Honestly, I didn't know that until that happened to me last year when I had the bile duct obstruction. And that happened to me, and I went straight to the hospital because I knew something was wrong. I mean, they were able to fix it, but it's definitely like not something that people obviously talk about. And it's a very big disadvantage because you need to monitor like those things with yourself. So it's not fun to talk about, but so they've rerouted her intestine to her liver.
Yes. I think she was in the hospital for like 4 days. She went potty at the doctor, and it was at the hospital when we were staying there. And it came out a beautiful color. I always talk about her. I always talk about her beautiful potties. And the surgeon was like, okay, like everything looks great. Her numbers are getting better. And then we went home for 3 months. So she had it at 2 months. We went home for 3 months. So like around 5 months old, and everything was good. But just one night, she came down with a really bad fever. And I could tell that she was getting jaundice like a tiny bit. So the GI doctor actually ended up going in and saying like, okay, I'm going to start going through the process of getting Stanford to see her for a liver transplant evaluation. And I think within a week or two, that's when she got sick, when she had a really, really bad fever. And I called Kaiser, and I was like, oh, hey, like, my daughter has a really bad fever. Like, I don't know what to do. She's like, oh, we'll give her Tylenol. And I was like, I can't give my daughter Tylenol. And she's like, oh, I guess you don't want your daughter to get better then. And I was like,
no.
Yeah, so RN said that, and I was so mad. And I gave my husband the phone, like, can you talk to her? And he's like, no, she keeps pushing for the Tylenol. And I'm like, I'm not giving her Tylenol. And I just hanged up, and we went to the ER. So they ended up doing a bunch of tests on her. And they were like, okay, her liver is completely failing. Like, we have to get her to Stanford for evaluation. And then I think we were there for like about a couple days until like they figured out everything, like space and everything. And we were taken in an ambulance to Stanford. And within like the next 3 days, they did all the testing that they needed to do. And she was listed at a 13 out of 40 for a PELT score. And they told us, like, the coordinator sat us down, and he's like, okay, Penelope is almost 6 months old. Her liver is failing. She's not going to make it to her first birthday at all. But the waiting list as of now for her size, her blood type, and everything, she's going to be waiting for at least 6 months. So they kind of pushed the the living donor on us, and I said, okay, sure, I'll do it. Like, I'm sure I'm the same blood type. I'll do it first. And my mom stepped up and said, okay, for whatever reason you can't do it, I'll get tested. And then
I'm getting chills.
And we went home after like a couple of days, and they called us in for a PICC line because they needed to put a little PICC line on her. I was gonna have to plug her in for 12 hours every night so she could get stronger. And we went in on a Sunday, and I was so upset. I was crying, and I'm like, oh my God, like, how stressful is this gonna be? Like, I'm gonna have to plug my daughter in for 12 hours at nighttime. and I'm gonna have to learn how to take care of it, you know, this and this, but whatever. And we went in. Yeah, so that was Sunday. Monday, they did the PICC line. They gave her back to me, and I was carrying her, feeding her after a PICC line because she couldn't eat for those whole hours. And my phone lit up, and I could see it in the corner of my eye, and it said Stanford operator. That was literally day 8. Day 8.
What?
And I saw it in my corner of my eye, and I was like, why are they calling me? Like, we're inpatient right now. Like, don't they know that? And they were like, and the little voice on the phone was like, hey, I know you guys are inpatient, but we found a match for Penny. And
you
I was
probably
like,
didn't believe it.
yeah, I was like, what? And my husband just like looked at me because like I was like shocked. My face turned white, I guess. And I'm like, are you sure? They're like, yes. Like, we found the perfect match. Like, we'll let you know in a couple hours. And it was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, that was on day 8. And everybody was shocked. Even the nurses came in. They're like, we heard the news. Like, oh my God, we cannot believe it. Like, how lucky is she?
Wow. And
Do
what
you know
point did you meet
anything
Dr.
about?
Escobar?
Yeah.
Huh?
Sorry, Liz. What point did you meet Dr. Escobar?
We met him the day of the surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Liz. Oh, sorry, Liz. Liz. Penny and I have the same surgeon.
Oh, yes. Fun fact. We should have said that.
Yeah, fun fact. So you met him the day of.
Yeah. So we got the call on a Monday, and she went in that Wednesday, and we met him. And well, we met him after the surgery. We had to go into a little room, and he told us like, oh, she was way sicker than a 13 out of 40 for a PET score. He's like, she wouldn't have made it more than a couple weeks or a couple months. And I remember he was so serious and just so like stern, and like he was like, she's really sick, like, you know, like, but now she has like, now she's gonna like have an option to like be healthy. Like now she has like everything she needs to be healthy. And I remember he went in to visit us 2 days later, and he looked at Penny because she was in a little rocker, and he had the biggest smile on his face, and I will never forget that smile on his face. He just had the biggest, like, you know what he looks like. He had the biggest smile ever, and he was so happy. And I remember just tearing up because I just saw the happiness in his face, like compared to how we had seen him 2 days before that. It was crazy. But yeah, so Penelope was in the hospital for 8 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think 8 is her lucky number. We've always like played around with that. So yeah, so they told us from the beginning, like, okay, well, you guys are gonna be here for like at least 2 to 4 weeks. No, I think 3 to 4 weeks. And we're like, okay, you know, it's fine, that's fine. And within like, I think day 5, they're like, okay, I think she's ready to go home. Like, she's doing so well.
Oh wow.
And yeah. So yeah, we went home on day 8. It was just crazy.
Were you like, are you sure you want me to go? Sorry.
I was scared because we went home with a biliary catheter bag stuck to her. So it was like this baby, and then I had to carry like this other little bag over here. But yeah, that bag was not fun.
Do you know anything about your daughter's donor?
No, I do not. The only thing that they told us was that they had a carb delivered to her size because it came from a larger child. But I mean, other than that, there's no info. We wrote to them.
So she's got a bit of a cut down liver essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had to cut it down to size. And then, I mean, that's it. We wrote to them, to the family, I think when Penny was like a year old or 6 months, I can't remember. And we got nothing back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
it would have been
I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, you know, I just respect their decision. I don't know. I kind of wonder sometimes, like, should I write to them again? But I mean, I'm sure we'll do it someday.
Maybe get Penny to write to her one day. Write to them one day.
Yeah, when she's older. That would probably be nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But because I had a cut down liver, and my organ donor obviously was 19. And it blows your mind, like you said, that it happened so quickly and all that sort of stuff. I guess it was a bit of a longer process for me, myself. But I was the same as Penny. It blows my mind, like, to watch Penny. It's like it was essentially me in a way, and you just never, even at 26, I still can't wrap my head around the whole thing. Like, it just, you never think, like, if I had a child, I guess, or my nephews and nieces, I could never look at them and think how I could never watch them be sick. How were you able to get through that as a mother? I guess I know you just had to do it because you had no choice. But obviously, even though it happened so quick, it would have been very, very emotional in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any way that helped you and your husband and family get through that, or?
I remember when we were first admitted after the Kasai, I asked my mom, like, can you just watch her? Like, I just need to go on a walk. And I was walking around and I saw all these little kids in rooms. You know, like, I saw a bunch of like little babies. I saw a bunch of like older kids. I saw a couple like patients of like cancer. And I remember just thinking at that moment, like, okay, you know, all these kids are here. And you know, some of them are a lot worse than Penny. And I'm like, how you said, Liz, in the last podcast, I remember, like, that hit me so hard because it's so true. I'm like, it can always be worse.
It can always be worse.
And I was like, okay, like, I need to be as positive as I can. And I think that's what kind of got me through it. And just seeing Penny, just how strong and amazing she was since day one. Like, she's fought so hard. I mean, she still fights for everything. But like, I don't know, she's just a really strong little girl. My husband was there all the time, like, everything. My parents were there, like, they took time off of work to just like take care of us, like me and my husband, like, you know, we were there supporting Penny, taking care of Penny, but my parents were there to like take care of us. And I think that was really nice too, because like we didn't really care about, you know, brushing our teeth or like doing anything, because we just wanted to be there with her, just like holding her, like, Penny, you know, it's okay. And you know, they were there like pushing food on us, like, you guys have to go eat, you guys have to go walk, like, get out of this room, like, go walk, take a breather, like, we'll be here, don't you worry about it.
It's like, I like the quote, it takes a village to raise a child, and in those instances it really does shine through, like, you never ever thought. My only other question, I guess, would be, does Penny know much about it? Does she have any sort of understanding, or?
I would say no.
No.
I mean, we just celebrated her liversary last week, and she was like, oh, birthday? And I'm like, no, it's not your birthday, baby. I'm like, it's your liversary birthday. And she was like, okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't think she really gets it. You know, when we go to the doctor and we have to do blood, I'll tell her, okay, you know, it's time for blood. We have to do a blood draw. And like, we have to check your liver. And she's like, okay. She shows off her scar all the time. And she's like, when we're like outside, like, especially with like her friends, like back when we weren't in shelter in place, she'd be like showing off her belly. And I remember in the beginning, I would be like, Penny, you know, don't lift your shirt, like, just leave it down. But like, I really started thinking about it. I'm like, why am I doing that? Like, Penny, show it off. Like, who cares? Like, show it off.
I
baby.
used to do that.
Yeah, I just want
Mum
her to
said
be,
I used to walk. No, sorry, go on.
No, I just want her to be like as comfortable in her body as she can.
I used to walk around with my dresses over my head so everyone could see my my scar. Yeah. And I think that's I think what you're saying about letting her show it to the world, it's her way of being comfortable and proud of it. Even though she's 4, she probably understands a lot more than, you know, they can like a child that age can communicate. And I think the way you're instilling that in her, she will grow up to be very proud of what has happened, and very proud to have you as her mum and her dad as her dad, and to know that you guys, all of everything you did for her and continue to do for her, because it doesn't end now. it continues on, and whatever happens, but she'll be very grateful. And I can tell you that from being a recipient, that you look at your mother, because I guess my dad wasn't around as much because he was working and stuff, but I look at my mother and my father as well, and you just feel like you could never thank them enough. So I'm pretty sure from what you're saying, she'll feel very much the same when she's older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And just like watching your story has brought me closer to my mom, because before we would butt heads because she was a little overbearing and, you know, wanted to control everything just because, you know, that was her way of coping. But you know, seeing what liver mamas go through has made me grow such a deeper appreciation for her. And last year when I was sick, she stayed with me in the hospital for a night, and she had to sleep in a chair. It was so sad. Because I had a fever, and I was just being extra cautious, and how strong she was just able to be, and just like turn that on was something I had never seen, because I hadn't had an admission with her there since I was a baby. And to see her just be able to like flip that switch of strength, I was like, who are you? Like, it was so crazy, because she totally channeled all of that from like back when she was there with me when I was a baby. So I definitely call my mom every day now, and I'm extra sweet just because like now I have a deeper understanding of what she went through. So thank you for sharing your story. And like, I think it's just so important. Like Liz, you said, it takes a village, and you know, if we could just be a little part of that village by doing these podcasts, like that just brings me so much joy. And like, people need to know about biliary atresia, like, and we just have to keep
Sharing
telling our
the
story.
stories every way we can. And I think that we're in a very blessed place to be able to do that, especially today with social media and, as you said, podcasts and all that sort of stuff. And I, from the bottom of my heart, are grateful that I've got to meet you, and I get to come across people like yourself, Liz, and watch your daughter and so many other children conquer so much. Even though life is not fair, you get to see them overcome things that some people don't ever have to face in their whole life. You know, she was how old? 6 months, and she went through more than a 50-year-old could have went through in their whole life. So hats off to her, hats off to you, Jenny, and I guess hats off to me, and hats off to every parent and every caretaker and every nurse and doctor and anyone. It's a crazy community, and can't wait to explore it more and be a part of it with everybody. So thank you, Liz, for sharing your story.
Of course.
It was lovely to have you, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon down the track to see how Penny is.
Yes, I'll be waiting for that.
And when this is all over in 2021, all this Corona stuff, we'll have to get together for Froyo or something in San Jose.
Yes, or San Francisco. That's kind of fun.
Yeah,
And then you can
that
FaceTime
works.
me, and I'll come from Australia. I'll FaceTime.
Yes.
And then you can come visit me.
That's fun.
See,
All right.
because of a donor, we can dream, right? We can do
Yes,
all these
exactly right.
fantastic things.